something like that. Please have a seat if you can. Thank you very much for coming here tonight. Extremely important issue for the community. This one for me as well.
It's really for the visitors, but yes, we're going to put
Both
it
the
up on the
fire
website
city
tomorrow. So
and the volunteer firefighters, I appreciate your attendance to hear our plan for the new. My name is Colin McDonald. If you don't know me, some people do, some people personally, but that's neither here nor there. And I have the honor of chairing. Here we go. I have the honor of chairing the Chester Village Fire Commission, along with my fellow members, Nancy Hatch. Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're put a tag on with. I'm going to ask people to ask you questions after this, and if you have any questions. She's long been a member of the Chester Village Council. Norm Conway. Yeah, there he is over there.
Hey, Jeff.
Takes care of our communication.
could you ask one of those gentlemen to just
Strategy. Kirk
move a
Colligan.
little bit?
He's the treasurer. Manages to the money.
Thank you.
James over here. James Roberts. I don't believe he could make it tonight. And until recently, we had the Honorable Jim Barkhouse, a member of our committee. And we have Heather McCollum, who's really the power behind the whole thing. We're here tonight to update and inform the community on the new fire station. And please remember, we are not building this station for the volunteers. We are actually building it for the community's safety, to provide the needed emergency services that these heroes respond to 320 times a year. That's almost every stinking day. One only has to reflect on recent events, the wildfires in Shelburne and Hammond's Plain, the flash floods here in Chester, the horrendous theater fire that happened a couple of years ago, which was only saved by the amazing response of the extremely well-trained volunteers at CBFD, Chester Volunteer Fire Department. These incidents speak to the increased dangers, crises, and emergencies we face and will continue to face with climate change. One only has to look at Spain and at the Caribbean to see the recent disasters they've had to fight off. People dying, 250 people, I think, was in Spain from floods. I personally am truly honored to represent the women and men of the Chester Volunteer Fire Service, for to me, they are our community heroes. In the community's frequent times of crisis, I repeat, 320 times or more a year, they sacrifice not only their precious time, leaving their jobs, their meals, their families, and their bed in a mere moment's notice to respond to our crises and our needs. Additionally, they also put at risk both their physical and mental health in the service of our community. You and me and our families. Without compensation nor hesitation, to aid us in ever increasing emergencies we face as a community and as individual families. I personally have never had to call on them for fire, car accident, or a health emergency. However, I remain extremely, and I mean extremely happy to know that they are a mere moment away if I ever do need them. Like all of you, I also carry house, car, and life insurance, as well as some other types. And similarly, I've been very fortunate to have never called on these either. So for 50 plus years, I've paid the premiums gladly because the insurance protects my family, and most importantly, my family and me from catastrophic loss. Catastrophic, there's my word. It's old age. As does the Chester Volunteer Fire Department and our community heroes, the volunteers. They protect us. They're our insurance. They keep us safe. These women and men sacrifice their most precious currency, their only real currency, time. That's the only currency we have in life to spend. Most especially the time we and they spend with our loved ones, our families. They sacrifice it willingly for their neighbors, their community, for you and me and our families. I think that this point has to be etched in everyone's mind in this community. This is about the community's safety and the people who are keeping it safe for nothing. We don't pay them nothing. So we should pay them our respect. I ask myself and hope you will do the same. Don't we owe them a safe and health protected facility from which to operate and proper equipment to carry out their tasks, which they do unselfishly at least 20 times a year for our benefit? You're damn right we do. Please never forget that this station is being built for the protection of you and our families, you, me, and our families, the community. The current station is 64 years old, and once you read the deficiencies, as noted in our website, which is www.chesterfirecommittee.ca, and you can pick that up down there, you will understand the current danger that we face as a community, because there are dangers, these are dangers our volunteers face. And without volunteers, who will be there 320 times a year when we call for help as a community or individuals? The RCMP building, as an example, was built in the 60s as well, but they replaced it in 2000. They got a new building out there, and they don't have the same dangers that our firefighters have, or the same equipment. And they don't have this training and skills to respond to our calls for help as our volunteers do, and they get paid, and our volunteers don't. The question I and the committee will answer tonight are why, what, how, when, where. I'll answer those quickly here, and then please talk to the committee members who are here in the room that I introduced, and they'll have name tags on indicating who they are. Norm? Why? The women and men of our volunteer service deserve no less than a safe and health protecting building to carry out their free service for the community. One, as per the design you see displayed, put forth here by Acre Architects, with the very best input of the volunteers and experts in the field of both proper maintenance of equipment and protection of the physical and mental health of our volunteers. And the Acre people, there's two of them, and Stephen, and a lady over there, got her name already. Wendy, yeah, old age. How? We will build it with a combination of capital fundraising from the community supporters. Feel free to, we have a campaign fund that you can send money to. And you can pick that up from Heather at the back there. We will get money out of the province and federal government programs. How, when, and where, I don't know for sure, but we're damn well going to get it. Tax revenue from the community and loan guarantees, so we pay for it over a period of 20 or more years. So this isn't going to hit us all in 1 year. We're going to pay for this over the lifetime, most of our lifetimes. When? With an urgency as soon as possible. I'd love to see shovels in the ground in the spring of 2025. We need the building replaced. There's no room in that current building. Where we're going to do it, on a piece of land that was once the old motel, safely situated outside the core of the village and away from village street traffic and pedestrians, children and old folks walking our streets, as well as a situation which provides ease of access and egress for our volunteers and emergency equipment. Heather McCollum, our power behind the committee, will have handed out a series of recent questions and responses, or she has them there at the table. Please feel free to discuss with me or any of the committee members. One comment that I heard years ago in 1985 when my family and I first moved to Chester, we lived right on Prince Street behind the fire station. Someone told me that the CVFD is a boys club where the volunteers gather and play pool, drink, and socialize. I knew instantly that was complete bunk. I wouldn't say bullshit, but it was a mixed crowd. I was familiar with the volunteer fire departments, from my days growing up in Fairview. I've always admired the sacrifice, dedication, and work that these women and men do and have done for their communities. I would like to ensure that every single woman and man who devotes that much time and energy to protecting our community, our lives, and our property get the greatest possible amount of appreciation and reward for their service and to the community. For being an emergency volunteer is an extremely serious, time-consuming, and dangerous occupation. Exposure to cancer-causing chemicals and extreme mental stress are but two of the many dangers they face for us, the community. We, the community, have both an important role and a great responsibility to play. We need to show the very much deserved gratitude and appreciation to these women and men and their families for their enormous sacrifice made to keep us safe. We need to show this today, tomorrow, and yesterday. We need to ensure that their job, role, profession is supported by the absolutely necessary equipment and facility so that their health and well-being are not compromised or imperiled by the very real physical and mental dangers of their role in protecting our community. This means we need to provide a modern, up-to-date fire station that protects these precious people, and they are damn precious. Ask yourself, where would we be without them? I thank you both for your attention and your support. Please thank a volunteer every chance you get. I do. And have a good evening and ask all the questions you want to. If you have something of concern, I'd ask it now or ask it individually to the members that we have here of the committee or the fire members. And I believe Chief is going to come up and say a few words. No, you don't. I like doing that. I would like to sing. I don't have a voice. I don't have rhythm.
Well, I don't know if I need it, but we'll give it a try. I'm Cody Stevens, the fire chief here in Chester. For those of you that don't know me, I think I know just about everybody in the room. Some want to forget me, some like me, so that's all right. For those that don't know me, that's who I am. I moved to Chester in 2015 from Chester Basin. This is my 29th year here in the fire service in the district of Chester, in the municipality. So I've been kicking around for a while. A little longer though. I started going to calls when I was 3. My mom went on vacation and Dad never missed a fire call. So I grew up literally in a fire station. Technically it was the basement of a Legion then, but it was still a fire station. So we've prepared a few words. I don't have the excuse that I'm old. I'm only 44, so when I miss my words, it's just who I am. But we'll stumble through it. Chester Volunteer Fire Department believes that the proposed hall design will enable the sustainability of fire and emergency services in our community into the future. It will allow the service to adapt, to meet new challenges as they emerge and impact our community, while also facilitating ways to welcome new volunteers who will deliver this service and keep all our volunteers safe. The climate, community growth and development through migration, and changes in home and building construction because of new techniques, materials, and technology are some of the factors that influence the delivery of fire and emergency services, as well as revolution in vehicle design and construction, and increases in traffic flows and volumes along our roads and highways. All these factors bring about changes in fire and emergency services, requiring the gaining of new knowledge, understanding, and the adoption of new skills by volunteers, and the acquisition of new equipment to assist them in their roles. Therefore, the service requires a base of operation that will allow for the evolution of the service to meet the needs of this community in the decades to come. The design provides this room for growth. The face of the service is changing too. The CVFD counts among its members an increasing number of female members. The demographic, we hope, continues to grow, yet the current hall does not reflect their presence in a and participation as well as it should. This new hall will have facilities that respect the increasing diversity of our society and the CVFD membership. 10 more pages, I swear. It's actually only one, I've blown it up big enough so I can say it. Keeping firefighters safe has always been important, but we are becoming more aware of the physiological and psychological impact these activities have on our firefighters, career and volunteer alike. Cancer is a reality for all Canadians, but the risks are greater for firefighters. The industry has worked hard to better understand these risks and what to do about them. Decontamination of people and equipment is an area of significant progress. And has been made because it has shown to really migrate and minimize these risks. The design of this new hall includes the latest innovations towards decontamination and best practices for hygiene. It incorporates current thinking for flow and movement of personnel within the building that separates clean and dirty spaces. Moreover, it will allow for changes in those practices and methods as advances in the fields. Sorry, I get a little choked up there. It's just this last year that I attended a line of duty death for a friend. And as I watched his two minor hockey children, Mike, the youngest is 7 and the oldest is 9, walk up with their father's casket, and he died from presumptive cancer from firefighting. Something that we know happens, and we're doing the best we can, but I don't want to go to any more of those. And he was bigger than life. Sorry, I'm off script for those that knew the script, but it's very important that people understand that process. As he laid in his last few months, Brad Marshall from the NHL, for those who know him, called him, knew him personally. He sharpened Brad's skates many times in the Toronto rink. He had a big impact on life and a big impact on everybody that knew him. And he paid the ultimate price for what we do. Career, volunteer, those risks are all the same. And about once a year, we go to a landfill fire just up the road. And I'll leave that story there. So I'm just kind of apologizing for losing my spot there. The CVFD takes pride in knowing its greatest assets is its people. Coupled with that, pride is a sense of responsibility it feels towards its volunteers, their family, but also this community, to protect people willing to step forward for our community's benefit. A new hall is a strategic investment, not simply in the service, but in the community. It is not an end to itself, but a means to the end of fire and emergency services that meet the needs of this community, which has been the aim of the Chester Volunteer Fire Department since it started 88 years ago. And on that note, I will pass it back to Colin, and I thank each and every one of you for attending and for your support, and I hope you continue to support us as this project moves forward.
Permission to speak, Mr. Chair?
Sure.
My name is Philip Stevens, for those in the room that don't know me. I live at 4870 Highway 3 in Marriotts Cove. I was a member of the Chester Fire Department for 40 years. I've seen a lot of ups and downs into it, but I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm just going to give it a quick little review on this hall. When I joined in '82, my boots and jacket were in the far corner of the porch, I'd call it. And in the wintertime, you dump the snow out of them, and in the summer, you dump the water out of them from the rain. There was a gap between the two buildings like that. We seen the problem, and in '85, when we tried to get a new truck, we had no room to put it. But through the efforts of the village commission at the time, there was a new addition put on. We modified the building, and from that time, we modified it again by cutting up the ceiling to get another truck in. The costs of custom building trucks went from about $10,000 in the late 80s to well over $100,000 in the past year or two. Now, I was on the building committee from, I believe, I was looking through some notes, starting in 87. We wanted a new building, but in 85, when we wanted it, these two ladies here were on the committee. And I can remember this day, Gail sitting up there, and she slammed her hand down on the table and she said, "This is a $165,000 quick fix to the building. You will get a new hall." And here we are some years later, standing here looking at the drawings for a new hall. We've settled as a fire department and volunteers. We have settled with what we had because we always were told it's coming. When John Carroll was on the chair of the village commission, we were probably as close then as to getting a hall as we ever were. We had the committee. At the time, it was around 2009, 2010. And we drove to 3 different stations that were built in Western Nova Scotia one weekend on our own dime. We took 2 members of the village commission with, and there was 3 or 4 of us. I believe Duke, you were on that weekend. And we had contractors come in, give us round figures. At that time, a round figure was between $3.2 and $3.5 million. And it was a tilt-up construction that we were tending to go to. And we always had in our foresight, ever since 82, that we weren't going to build a building for yesterday, it was going to be for tomorrow. When the old station burnt down in the late 50s, they built a station that they knew damn well wasn't going to be here in 62 years' time.
Look at it now.
And it's still there. So for us to spend millions of dollars on a new building is pointless if we're going to look here. If we can't look into the stars and see where we might be, could be, or should be, it's pointless to waste the first time. Now, over the years, we've had committee members from the village. When the village was the only proper territory, because the outside areas, for those that don't understand, the outside areas paid to have the service. Our taxes were not to the fire department. They were put to the village commission through the municipality to provide service. So they were taking in money just like people that sell a contracting service or whatever. The money went to them. Since then, with this new group that we have here, which I'm proud to say I helped pick, and well, somebody had to go looking through the community to find people that were going to be open-minded to what was going on. And my fellow troublemakers, Blake Porter and I, spent a lot of time going around looking. And we came to this conclusion that we needed a fire service that represented somebody on top of the hill in Canaan, to the people in East River and those in Middle River. Now, the costs have gone, everybody knows that. We no longer have to dump water out of our boots or the snow, but at the same point in time, you've got to crawl over everybody to get to you. There's literally that much room between the bunker lockers and the truck. And a good many times, we're all lined up one at a time to go get our gear before somebody comes in. That cuts our response time. The business of having the old hall is all right until you're here at 9 o'clock in the morning and you try to get up Victoria Street or the street to the fire hall. I'm not from the village, so I don't know what street. Central. I knew that. I know the situation is on Duke Street, and I believe the tavern was on Queen or King. But anyway, long story short, you get 3 contractors parked on each side of the road down there, and you can't get a fire truck down, and you can't get fire department members up. And I have experienced that where I've had to come out of the hall and either go this way or go over and go down past the municipal office in order to go west. Now, these streets were designed for a horse and buggy or an ox and a cart. And they're not capable of handling the equipment that's in that building over there now. So I did ranting here now. What it boils down to is, when I first joined, the membership changed the roof. When the hall needed paint, yes, there was a few cases of beer come out, but the hall got paint. Saturdays and Sundays, our time. And when the doors needed fixing, we fixed it. There was no call in the contract. And yes, we got $1 a call, $1 a call. Now there's a man shaking his head. His father was in the fire service since he incorporated, and his family. He knows what I'm talking about. His mom had a phone in the house that used to answer the fire calls when somebody called. They would say they had a fire. And she had a switch beside it that she pushed to call. There was no pages. We have advanced in this community a lot in 40 years. And I believe for those that are gonna say, oh no, I'm not spending more taxes on a fire station. They got one that will do it. Well, I can hear it now. It ain't gonna happen as long as I'm here. We've got a good group of people involved at the top, and they are only as good as the people on the bottom that's gonna support them. And as a retired member of the fire department, I'm asking everyone in here to spread the word in the community. We do have a good committee. We do have a good purpose in what we're trying to do. And I believe they deserve the support that we give back. In closing, think about it. Everybody's only a phone call away. Either need us or you want us.
Should have had you out here doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I would have by phone half. Anyway, please, look, any other questions or yes, please. Yeah, come on up.
I didn't really intend to speak, but I feel moved to speak. I remember when the fire hall burned down in the 50s. It was horrendous, it was scary. And they saved one old engine. And that was all we had to protect us. And then they built the new fire hall. And I was chair when we put the piece on. And I know what sort of complaints and things that happened. Everybody said you don't need it. Yes, you do need it. If people are going to lay their lives on the line, we need, as a community, to give them the best possible facility to use and to store their equipment and to make volunteers feel that they've contributed to the community, because many of them give up time with their families. And Colin, you forgot one sort of important people to remember. Many of the volunteers, when they leave their place of work, their pay continues. And that's thanks to the employers. And I don't think you put the employers in there. It was great to hear what Colin was saying. We need to get out and we need to convince everybody this has to be built. It's time we went into the 21st century instead of hanging around in the past century. Thank you.
Yeah. We haven't always agreed. But hey, we do agree on this. We do need our fire service to protect this community, and we need these volunteers to protect this community. The alternative is actually a paid service. And you think this thing here costs money for this thing? Or this station wouldn't exist if we had paid service. We'd have this or better, and we'd have sizable wage we'd have to cough up every year. This isn't gonna cost much in the way of tax dollars for the average family here in the community to build this over, and we'll pay for it over a period of 20 years, or maybe 25 years. Anyway, sorry, brilliant talk.
Oh, I thought this was a bill, I must admit, I haven't been looking too much at the information. So where are we in the plans? Like,
We got,
it's a bill?
yeah, this is the acre design. The next step in the process is to go out for proposals. And then and in the meantime, we're gonna find the money. And we're gonna, what?
Is there any money?
Yes, there is. There's some money in the reserve fund, not a lot, but enough to start. And we're going to squeeze the shit out of the provincial government sitting here. And out of the municipal council, who's also here, Tom. And out of the feds. We're gonna get money for it. And we're gonna do a capital campaign here in the village or in the community. And it's not just a village anymore, but we have a lot of wealthy families here that deserve to cough up a little more than others, and we'll be able to raise some of the money. I figure we'll get up close to half of it from the province and the feds and the municipality and from donors, and then the other half, we'll have to take a large mortgage or loan out from the bank, and we'll have to get one of the governments to guarantee it. And we'll pay it over 20 odd years, and that'll come in your tax bill, which is, and I said to someone outside, I can't remember who, that if you have a property that's worth $500,000, it's probably gonna cost you a couple $100 a year. And if your property is worth $1 million, you're probably gonna spend $500 a year. And if you have a property that's worth 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 million, it's gonna cost you a bit more. That's the way it's gonna be. You don't get nothing for free in life. Except the end of it. True. Okay, any other questions? Anybody else want to say something? I love the comments. These. Hey.
One question, what kind of construction are you intending to look for? Steel construction, tilt-up concrete construction, or a combination of all three?
Right now, it's due to the scans and the fire ratings, it's steel, mostly steel.
Something similar to what Mahone Bay, I guess, had built.
Yeah, so in the big apparatus space, you know, the big scans, it's gonna be a light steel framing, is the most efficient thing.
Yeah.
Keep it simple and efficient.
I've stood a few tilt-ups up over the years, a lot of an HRM, and they're still ain't standing up to good quality.
Yeah, they last a long time.
They come pretty much with a 70 plus or minus a year guarantee.
You can consider it.
Anyway, feel free to walk around, take a look at the building, ask, sorry.
Community have an estimate of the total cost.
You want an estimate? I suspect somewhere between 17 to 20 million. And that is not a terrible price considering what's happened with construction costs and buildings and the level of sophistication you're going to have to protect the lives and health of our volunteers.
Those numbers came from a survey across Canada as well of different fire service buildings that were built in the past 10 years or so. So it's relatively validated, but building supplies change.
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna ask if the architect would love to present his design.
Sure, he can come here and talk. If you want to come on up and take people through step by step. Any other questions before he does that? Gary.
How are we gonna make this building energy efficient, if we're gonna have a building that's gonna last us 7 years or so? You know, because the cost of energy and all that sort of.
Big question, Gary.
That's Nancy Hatch's favorite chopping block. We are gonna do whatever we have to do to get money to keep it a green building. We're gonna do absolutely everything we can and have to do to squeeze the governments to help fund this green building, and there are programs out there that do that.
Because the building might be 7 feet now, but over the course of the lifetime, we'll probably spend another 7 feet to operate it or more.
Yeah,
So
you,
that's, it's not just to build the building, remember that, we have to operate it once it's there.
yeah, absolutely, you're 100%, we gotta maintain it, we gotta upkeep it, and
But the greener it is, the lower the running costs will be going
Greener is
forward.
more expensive upfront, but in the long haul, we should pay it back.
Nancy loves you, I can tell. What's my phone?
Just with your design, I'm gonna go through the design, I'd like to hear more about the design, but in the home bay, I think they installed quite a large, solar panels on the roof. And, it's a long-term project, but they're already seeing the rewards from the solar panels on the roof with all the electricity. And another question for you, perhaps, if you don't mind, Chester right now is going through major water shortage because of climate change, we haven't had any rain in months. And I just wonder, in your design, are you gonna have allowance for cisterns or anything like that? And then need to get cleaned up after fires and stuff like that, you probably use a fair bit of water in that building. And Chester does have water issues. I just wonder if there's any allowance or anything like that in your design.
There is, yeah, great question. And water is, of course, a paramount concern for all our projects, but in this project in particular, it was, really exciting for us to look at. Because we're using the large portion of the low slope roof over the apparatus bay to collect. It has a 2% slope, and it's going to the cistern, which is going to be on the back. So that'll be used to fill the apparatus space. So in times like that, a drought like you're referring to, there will be a well as well to top that off, because we can't rely solely on the rain. But that's one of the green features of it, is to actually use rainwater to collect.
And snow melt.
And snow melt, exactly.
Is there anything in your design concept when you're considering this that, this is emergency services, so if we have a disaster that impacts the building in some way, do you need to take that into consideration when you're doing your design?
We do, yeah. We're designing to, it's called post-disaster occurrence. So the current, again, back to the current building, does not meet those, and there's nothing really you can do to do that. So it's not a warming shelter, but it is going to be designed to withstand basically extra snow loads and things like that in the code, which allow it to be a post-disaster building. Yeah, things like that. So back to this question over here, which was great about operating costs long term, and Nancy's passion as well. We are going to design this to be able to withstand the long run. So the first thing we can do is design a super efficient building. Technology will change over time. We're exploring solar panels. That's one of the reasons we took the roof and kind of tilted it as well to the south. But we also have the large open plane. So what we're doing now, the plane of the roof, sorry, what we're doing now in the next phase, like Colin mentioned, is the detail design for construction documents. So our engineers and us are researching as we get into it, the power requirements. So that'll determine how big the solar field is, which then works in the budget. But that is definitely on our radar to do, as well as we're exploring geothermal. So again, we're at the early stages of understanding the need versus the heat and cooling, but we're going to do everything we can to be super efficient and durable for the long time.
What happens in the future, say 20 years down the road, and it may not happen because there's other technologies coming on board, the vehicles themselves become electrified or hydrogen fuel, is that building going to be able to accommodate things like that? And that's not so far in the future. We may not laugh at it, but it's coming. It changes the building.
Yeah, I think what the most we can do is to be adaptable and build something durable that's ready for that. The power requirements for those, I think our engineers are looking at that with us. Hydrogen fuel, yeah, will be a storage method, I guess, for that. But you're probably right, it won't be that long.
Does this building contain a comfort center?
For the volunteers?
No, for the village. Should we have a disaster? We've got one now that I know of at the church, but it supplies heat, light, washrooms and so forth for people who, for whatever reason.
If we need to have that, that will be an additional piece to the station. The station isn't designed to do that. The station is designed to ensure that the firefighters, the volunteers, are able to operate safely. And the equipment fits well. And we keep agreeing. We are more than happy to add an additional piece to it for a comfort center if the community wants it. The first fight I have is to build the building and have separate egress in and out for the fire volunteers. The second item, if we do want to have a comfort center, where we put it will depend on not interfering with the movement of the emergency vehicles in and out, nor interfering with the ability of the volunteers to actually do their job and properly clean themselves, etc. afterwards. So it would have to be a totally different structure with a different entrance and exit.
I think we have many other buildings that can be adapted as comfort centers. in Chester. For instance, the schools with their washroom facilities and gymnasiums and so on. If people are desperate enough to bring their own sleeping bags, they can sleep on the floor. And if you have no power and cold winter night, you need a comfort center.
Yeah.
And we don't need the clutter of civilians in the fire hall.
Yep.
Nor do we need the clutter of the vehicles to get there.
Yep, agreed, 100%. You could have it at the RCMP station. I think they already have bids in there.
They might not let us out.
What's that?
They might not let us out.
They let me into the one in Truro years ago. I was a hippie then, long hair creep.
Which rate of expansion, you know, with properties in the area, what is that building capable of keeping up with the rate of expansion that's happening around here? Are we designing a building that's gonna be not good enough for what we, you know, what's down the road expansion wise for the community?
There's no perfect answer to your question. We are designing a building, Acre has, that allows us to grow.
Yeah.
And will this building be the same in 50 years? Well, it won't be as bad as what we have right now. I can assure you that's 60 years old. But it will obviously need some adjustments and growth to it once we learn or we find what we're facing in the future.
Yeah.
That's, I mean,
I know.
I agree with your question. It's a great question. And we have built the building with the capacity for, as you can see, to hold enough equipment.
Because that old one was probably at the time when that was built, it was adequate for the time. I hope this is not just adding to it when we do it. It's more than that, it has potential to handle future levels.
Yeah. And Acre will be happily take you through that. And yes, I'm 100% with you, as is the committee.
Is there any accommodations in this building for paid firefighters? If it so comes that way in the next 10 years, like what I was trying to say earlier was, we're not gonna build for yesterday and today. We're gonna look past this and go out there. And there is gonna be a paid service in this community within 70 years. There is gonna be changes. There's gonna be subdivisions, there's gonna be apartment buildings, there's gonna be bigger highways. Heck, the railway could be back in 70 years. We don't know that.
The first thing you're gonna need before you see that kind of growth is water.
Yeah.
Anyways, we love it here. And I'll do whatever I can to help the community grow and service all the families. Because the one thing that's most important to me is family. I love my own family more than life itself, and I believe everyone else loves their families more than life itself. Anyway, sorry. I'm loud.
He's a good speaker though. Yeah, and we can keep going with questions, but Wendy and I are going to be around here too if anyone has specific questions and doesn't want to show up to that about the plans and all of it.
to add to Gary's concerns, how much land is left over for eventual?
Well, the building is on the site plan, you can see over here. The building does occupy quite a bit of the width, but there is, depending on what you want to do in the future, I guess with parking would be one question. But out to the back, it's like sloping down, so. But we've had a lot of meetings with the fire department and Cody's team, right, to make sure that it's not day one, you're gonna be out of room. It's something that can be grown into.
If land came available, the community that we are buying more of it to increase the size of that property.
Yes, I can't speak for the community, I can speak for myself, that makes good damn sense to me.
Can you repeat it, please, Colin?
He's asking if we would be willing to, if the community would be willing to buy more land in that area if we need to expand.
Even not to expand, just in case for future, because this is a future investment.
Yeah, and that's a good question, it'd be a nice thing to do, if you're a businessman, you probably do that. We have, our big fight right now is to get the money together to build this structure. And then once we've got it built, the community is gonna have to think about when opportunities come up, decisions to have larger pieces of land. And I think that'll grow with time. I think, what are we building here? We're building a building that's probably gonna have a lifespan of 40 to 50 years. Or more, but let's say 40 to 50 years. And then we're gonna have new decisions. There's gonna be another idiot up here like me, who's gonna have to make some other proposal and committee.
Can I just address this one? So, yes, if this is being built for today or tomorrow. We currently have 50 lockers. That's our current level. We can't house any more firefighters, and I think we're at 47 right now, dude?
44.
44, so I was off on my figures. This building facilitates 75. We currently have room for 5 trucks. Our large boat has stayed outside its entire life with us. Our second utility is down in the department building. Our antique, the department owns, is in Collins building. This will house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 across the front and 3 more across the back. So that's a total of 9 pieces of apparatus. We only have 4 heavy apparatuses, so those would be the big trucks and 2 utilities at the moment. So there is a lot of room for growth in this design. And I did want to, before I answer the question there, I did want to just publicly thank our committee within the department that worked with the fire committee and acres. They put a lot of research and a lot of work to find a department that will serve this community.
So there's room for a ladder truck in there, Rosie?
There is, yeah. Thanks.
Because we have sharp corners in Chester, and it has to go around the corners.
They had a couple here for the theater fire.
Yeah.
And it helped. Thank God we could get them in here.
So we don't need to wait a half an hour or
That's- yeah.
45 minutes for a ladder truck to arrive.
You want to come up and talk, Nancy? I like this woman. She doesn't like to talk, but man, she's sharp with it. Good job. Yes, sir.
Just with regards to the pay, I know it's early days, and I guess it's the village area and the outside area where the tax rates will go up, not the entire municipality. And is there a point when the inside village area and the other area actually votes on this? Because I assume you'll have to borrow that money. My understanding of the way it works is that council, that in order to borrow the money, you have to ask the support of the area to pay the rate.
Yeah,
That's correct.
100%.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to have a vote on that. We have the lowest rate in the municipality within Chester and the fire district, the Chester Volunteer Fire. were 9 cents, 9.4 cents per hundred. The outside areas are 12 and more.
And when you were speaking earlier, it sounded like that might
Yes, it will.
basically double.
No, I don't know if it'll double. It'll go up, perhaps 4 or 5 cents over the next little while to pay for this. And I think the outside areas will too, because everything's going up, damn value, costs, equipment's gone up. I mean, inflation stinks. I mean, it's,
Well, I just want to ask those questions, because I expected to see more people here, you know, with that concern. Personally, I support it, I think. It's overdue. I live that's down the road from the fire.
I know.
And it's all hours and all days and
Yeah.
weather and everything else, but I think the biggest crutch you're gonna have to get over here is convincing people, like, it shouldn't be a hard job to convince people you need it, but it'll be paying up, you know.
This group here has to be ambassadors going out and talking to their neighbors who aren't here.
Yeah.
We actually have to convince the people in our community of the necessity of this and what we have now, as opposed to a paid service. Because if we go to a paid service, this is a small little piece of our ass that we will lose. Because we will all of a sudden be spending more than this 20 million on salaries and overhead to run a paid service. Take a look at Halifax and the costs there and the tax base there.
So will more work be done to bring the public in to support this, I guess, what the committee.
We have a website and we've been communicating through that, and we have 1,000 people have looked at it, individuals, and commentary, and Norm can actually speak to that much more intelligently than I can. Come on up, Norm, you can tell them about that. So we are doing as much as we can as to educate the community. That's why I'm up here preaching. We need you to do the same. And we need it because we have the densest population base here. We have the most buildings in the smallest area, and that we have the biggest danger. That theater fire could have taught us all a big lesson. If it had been caught at 3 o'clock in the afternoon by a firefighter who was working there, then we would have lost that whole block of Chester. Yeah, or more, and it would have been a disastrous situation. I'll step away now and leave it to you, please, Aker.
Yeah, so, sort of a view from front 3, if you will, with the apparatus space, sort of a desk shot. You get to see all the apparatuses, again, reminding people of the importance of the function of this building. And then on the left, which you can see actually on this side too, is the antique. Again, a symbol of the department's history and long-standing commitment to the community. So that's always going to be visible to the public. And then at night, as all the lights in the building will turn off, you'll get to see that from the front tree. So I think that's kind of a nice reminder of the current modernization and safety of the fleet back to tying into the history. So that's something that we're pretty excited about. So we took nods of course, the simplicity and function of the actual apparatus bay and the heights, all the requirements to get the ladder truck and so forth in, but then also making a nod to the history of the architecture of Chester in having a pitched roof. So again, there's a lot of design guidelines that our team and Wendy and all of us went through to look through to a lot of little specifics about it. But at the end of the day, it's the merging of the two to create. We didn't want to just have a completely functional building. This is Chester after all. It's a really beautiful community. So without any added cost, right? You're dealing with a form that is more recognizable in the community. So I think it's something that, again, that volunteer fire department, who you're going to need to renew that all the time. It's something they can be proud of.
But you step back from the edge of pavement from the highway.
From the highway, Wendy, do you remember that?
Sorry?
The bay from the highway to the doors.
Yeah, 75-foot tarmac.
Yeah, 80.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But it's enough so that we planned it out so that, you know, no one's, when you're pulling out and stopping, it's not encroaching on front three, which is again, another problem at the current facility, right? All over the road. So this site was nice in that it's allowed us and the department to have a real safe functioning. If you look, again, we can walk you through these, but separating the incoming traffic from the trucks and vehicles going out, again, another important thing, not to bottleneck it all into one site, again, causing potential safety issues. So all throughout, like Cody said, right from the contaminants, which are, he's right, a huge deal in the industry, and like these are volunteers, so we went through a lot of the current research and further thinking about how to make that as safe as possible, but all the way down to the site plan.
Excuse me, was any thought given to putting traffic lights that would come on automatically when the fire was called? On Route 3.
It's 50 kilometers through there, but it's more like 500 kilometers now.
Yeah, I think there's been some talk now about traffic lights, but about, I don't know, Cody, how do you describe it? Signals, I guess.
There was some discussion,
Yeah.
Gail, but that gets into, you know, kind of a bigger conversation with the province, with the other permission on site, and then equipping our vehicles to operate and all that. So I won't say it hasn't been discussed, we kind of spitballed a bit, but nothing of significance discussion.
It should be in the backs of the minds and planners so that operations can be made to make that possible.
Right. Yeah, and another thing too that's a good point. Now on the site plan, we oriented the building so that the placement of the trucks coming out, that's the most visibility. So it's not, you're not jammed up against corners, so it's a great site in that regard. But again, here you can see, you know, we pushed in the doors a little bit, again, to increase that rhythm back to that kind of historic fire hall feel, because that's at the end of the day what it's all about. And created a nook around the antique. So in the plan, again, Cody had mentioned all the vehicles there. There's a really functional back to it for training, all their tanks and equipment. Again, this is, you know, like you said, the long-term viability of this building is going to be, you know, energy and operations. So a lot of thought's been put into this plan to maximize that. And anyone else has any questions along the way?
How big are your doors?
16 by 16.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we want to make sure, you know, we can do them at 14 feet, but you know, to get the trucks are getting bigger and bigger. So 16. And the clear height within is 20 feet up to the structure. So I know the Cody or someone mentioned how close they are together. There's inches where you are now.
Yeah, put some of them in.
Yeah.
Where do the members, when they go to the hall, where do they park, in the back?
In the back and on the side.
Okay.
Stay to the floor. Like, could you maybe just point while I'm talking? Yeah, so they'll come in on the north side and kind of come around, and then we've got their own access on that corner. So they all will kind of come in there, come right up to the doors. So they're away from the trucks coming out, and that's a problem with the existing one. So safe lines of travel, you know, it could be 5 in the morning or whenever, right? So people have to be tired. So the less thinking and overlap, the better.
Experience.
I think one good point this room to show versus the current hall, do not access as members responding, you don't have to walk through the apparatus bay to get to our gear.
Right.
So it's a nice safe pathway from the parking lot through to the gear room to get dressed. And when you go out, you can go right to the truck because you're already dressed. So that's a huge safety increase right there. Currently, we get dressed this close to the truck. Those of us that kept the doors maybe like you should be, are close.
Yeah, that's a good point. So coming in off the sides, there's a real flow right through, coming out of civilian clothes into the locker, which Cody mentioned, and right onto the bays compared to, you know, overlap and crossing over. And then back to contaminants, the same thinking applies to coming in with could be a lot of stuff on contaminants, but in cleaning that before you go back home, in a really safe and using all the best practices possible.
Standard format for fire hall.
I think that, I mean, we just finished one in Grand Falls, not unlike the plan, I guess, in a way, sort of, you know, function of how you minimize response times. But I think the look and feel of this, and back to the department we worked through with the committee, I guess, and Cody's team. There's a lot of nuances how they want to do things. Each fire chief and team does things differently, which is fantastic. So we took a little bit of both, merging what their team wants to do with you know, that's right. Yeah, but the overall plan is like based on current and future thinking.
Yeah, it'll be up tomorrow.
We're really excited about it. I think, you know, we were daunted at the beginning of how to design a functional fire station in Chester. It wasn't an easy task, so we're super proud of it. Excited to continue.
There's been a lot of people drawn on the hard board, and everything else over the last 40 years I was around. Basically, what you have here, a few changes, is what we've always wanted.
And we're advancing, Philip, tomorrow, our website launches the Chester Fire Committee, that's all over.ca. You'll be able to track the progress of the fire hall build, what
Fire
current plans are happening in social media, what new things are happening, what we're working on, and where we're going next, so we won't be using it as brain diagrams or anything. Stay on the website. I just wanted to finish up with that to let you know that there is a place where you can go and stay up to date on what it is, where we're going and what we are doing.
No more questions. Thank you. Thank you, Norm. Please get that website, take a look at it. We'd like to see you visiting it. We'd like to have you engaged. Sorry, giving me the sign. Well, you could be. You know enough people and you're loud enough and you talk often enough. I see your words all over the place, girl. We should have you there.
Is there any activity value that's already there for fire hall?
We don't, the village doesn't own it, it belongs to the municipality, as I understand, and it's up to them what they want to do with it. Do they want to turn it into a warming shelter place, or do they want to rip it down and sell the land? I have not a clue.
If anybody wishes to see the current station this evening when this is over, we got Nick and Daniel. He's ducking behind the door there. They'll give you a tour of the station and you can turn sideways to go between the trucks too. Fun. Or anything else you'd like to see, if the photos have been circulated, if you'd like to see it, we've opened it up to let you see it.
The photos on Facebook do not give you the real deal. It's tight.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a
Just
wonderful
turn it
evening.
back.
Be safe.